First and foremost, I want to heartfelt condolences to the Goudreau family. I think the hockey world lost two great young men, and their families will be impacted forever. The hockey community, again, lost two special people. So I think it's upon all of us to make sure that we don't lose sight of those things when we, even though we're moving forward with training camp and opening an exciting period of time. Second item is to congratulate Judd Surratt and Ryan Johnston to our broadcast teams. And thirdly, Jeremy Swayman will not be in attendance tomorrow on the ice. He has chosen to wait, and rightfully so, till a contract is settled. It's our intention to continue to negotiate a contract. I'm disappointed that when you set things as a priority in a general manager spot, that you do your best to try and accomplish that, and I haven't been able to do that yet. But I will make everybody aware that some of the inconsistencies that have been reported are completely inaccurate. And I think that being a representative of the Bruins, and how we do business and try and keep things close to the vest and respect everybody's own privacy, that I'll answer questions, but I'm not going to go into depth of the negotiation and the talks we had. Because we're excited about the players that are here and looking to move forward. As I said, I'm disappointed. But at the end of the day, I'm optimistic because I think we'll find a landing spot before December 1st.
Don, you haven't had, any real long, protracted negotiations go, through training camp. Is there a fear that this is going to be one of those?
I'll continue to work every day. It's not unlike, David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy and Brandon Carlo. They've been longtime Boston Bruins. It's a process that seemingly, every year there's a few players, and this is the year that we have one. But I have to continue to do my job. I have to respect, the position that Jeremy and his camp has taken, and continue to try and find common ground.
You mentioned David, Charlie, and Jeremy. In those cases, what eventually progressed it to the point where it gave you momentum to get those guys back?
Again, been reported that incommunicative the Boston Bruins have been, and that's far from the truth. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a general manager in the league or anybody that I'd spend 3 weeks not returning a phone call. So again, constant communication, dialogue, finding common ground. It's no different, hopefully no different than this case. It certainly was in all the three players you just referenced that we wanted to find. I've said all along I wanted to be in a negotiated deal and not in an arbitration setting, and that's the goal.
Johnny, do you feel comfortable just characterizing if you feel like the two sides are close, if you feel like you're sort of preparing for this could be a little bit? I mean, how do you approach it now when he's a big piece at the start of camp and, you're not sure when that piece might be out?
Haggs, I'm not going to be, judgmental in terms of predicting, when things come to a point of conclusion. I will say that, every day that Jeremy is out, it hurts our team and it hurts him because of preparation that we would like to do and he needs to do. But it's not going to stop from hopefully finding the common ground and getting it done. I'm certainly not going to predict. I do believe that he'll be in before December 1st because, we all want him to play hockey and our team will be better for it. So I'll take one more and then we're going to move on.
When you were talking trades for Linus, was getting a veteran goalie in return important just in case this did happen?
No, those things were not running in the same lanes. We identified trade opportunities and trying to improve our hockey club in the direction that we were going to go. As I referenced, both goalies came in and said they want to play 55 games next year. That's virtually impossible on the same team. So we made a decision to go in the direction and negotiate a deal. We were always going to have another goaltender. We feel confident that Brandon Bussey is also in a position that this training camp will be a very good opportunity for he and for Corpusalo to work with Bob and for as long as Jeremy is out, other guys are going to get opportunity. as they say, next topic.
You love your hybrid players, guys who could play center and wing. You could use in multiple situations, like having another 2 players on your team instead of 1. You've been kind of cultivating, growing Zaka as a centerman. It went really well for most of the season, the hardest hockey. It got moved around more. Now that you got Lindholm in the middle, how are you viewing Pavel Zaka? Is he now going to sort of become your left shot hybrid guy to maybe play in situations that you're still looking at him there, or is he going back and left wing on a green line with those guys?
Well, again, we lost, two pretty important pieces to our franchise in Bergeron and Krejci, and we pieced it together pretty well last year, and Pav was a big part of that. Charlie Coyle was a big part of that. Poitras emerging, Freddie going in to play the middle, Kiki playing the middle, bringing in Kostelic and Beecher. I think we have depth in the position to be able to move players around, as you just described, and I think Monty will be excited to see who connects and where the chemistry lies with whether that is Pav starting with those guys, which I believe he will, with Elias and David in a production role. He certainly enjoyed playing in that environment last year, and I think he succeeded. It's a little less lifting from the standpoint of defensive zone starts, taking face-offs, playing down low, but he's more than capable. So if that means that he's first down, the first guy down low for us, takes the position regardless. But I think there's an opportunity now for us to slide some players around and see where the chemistry lies and get production, because ultimately that's what we're going to need.
Is Brad Marchand going to be ready for tomorrow, or?
He will not start with the regular group. He's made a heck of a lot of progress in the last little while. You guys all know Brad will do everything possible to be out there and wanted to be out there. Our training staff and doctors have put the reins on to make sure that he's, we're trying to get ready for the season. We're not concerned about day one for Brad. We're only concerned about, opening night and moving forward and his full return to health.
Are you assuming that you will be ready for opening?
Yeah, he's on track for it right now, minus any setbacks. We don't expect that.
Because now your defense, Charlie Michael is the shortest defenseman in the past, basically, it's for collection, it's also does that concerted effort to figure that arena, and what does that enable you to do?
Well, ultimately, you want the most talented players you can find in every position, and the opportunity presented itself with Nikita this summer. We felt it was a good fit for our hockey club and how we wanted to sort of slot players in. I referenced Mason in terms of where he may play and he may toggle between different partners, as would Hampus and Nikita as well. And Parker did a really good job. And now you've got other players that are kind of slotted in. We have depth in our back end. The size, it wasn't the target. Just turn around and say, let's go be the one of the bigger groups back there. It's the byproduct of looking for a player that fill a hole for us. And the other players that we've brought in that have some size, they have all skating ability and be able to forecheck and play the way that Monty wants to play and possess pucks and hopefully, as I said, produce at the level that we need them to.
Brad told us last week that he's going to go down with Charlie that second line. Is it truly just an open competition for that right wing spot, or are there any internal options that you feel might be in a better spot than others?
I mean, it'll be, we referenced that Pav may start up there. To me, I think Monty's going to have the opportunity to play around with it a little bit. Clearly, we would like to see a player emerge, as I've said before, and Beecher and Poitras are good examples last year of two players. And, that pleasant surprise that we all hope for from the development path of where Adam and the coaches down there all put in so many hours to try and hopefully come to fruition. Ultimately, that's what you want. Now, Tyler Johnson's here as well, and an accomplished player, and that's what this league is about. It's just you got to take somebody's job. And you got other players that have accomplished an awful lot, and they want to retain it. And I think Danton Hine did a fabulous job in that regard last year for us.
You just touched on Tyler Jones. I'm curious, what your decision on bringing him in, what you hope he gives to the rest of the guys in camp?
Versatility, experience, winning pedigree, production. Skating component is still there. So, we identified early on and wasn't trying to be disrespectful to Tyler and his representatives in the fact that we weren't in a position to offer a contract, but we would be excited to have him as part of our group. And, he just felt that the opportunity was there in a bona fide manner and how it was presented, and we're excited to have him.
What kind of expectations are there for a guy like Batra, just based on last year, kind of that beginning to end development that he had coming off surgery going into this camp? I'm sure there's a little bit of curiosity as to sort of how he's going to look, and is he going to be a full go?
Yeah, he is a full go. Excited to have him back. He's going to play both center and wing through camp. He caught us by surprise to some degree last year, and really, until the injury, was on target to stay with us. This year's a little different, where we have some options, in terms of possibly playing some games in Providence. His goal is to make the team and pick up where he left off. It might take a little bit of time for him to get, reacclimated and timing-wise and such. We have a lot of camp. That was one of the reasons why he and Merck and Fabian did not participate in the rookie, because we have an extended period of camp with 7 games and black and gold game. So I think there's really ample opportunity to put them in situations that to see if they're going to be ready to handle a full load in the NHL and make our team.
When you guys hired Jim Montgomery 2 years ago, it was reported that it was a 3-year deal. It's the beginning of year 3 now. Has there been any progress in terms of extension there?
There has been talks, but I think Monty will, I'm not going to speak for him, but I'm going to guess that he'll take Brad's line of, keeping that between us. But yeah, there have been talks and extension hope.
Does Fabian Lysell, is he a player who might have to play up in the lineup in more offensive situations, or can you see him breaking in and starting low in the lineup?
I think Fabian will determine that. His one-on-one ability, his offensive attributes, I think are pretty darn good, and he's been productive. As Mooj would say, and rounding out your game and being a reliable player and building a team game are all components of winning, and that's what our club requires to play, and he's got to buy into that, and he's also matured. So you got to hope that he can go in and complement in any one of those roles that you described. I don't think he's a fourth line energy penalty killing guy at this point in time in his career, so that might be ill-fitting, but the rest of the opportunity is right in front of him.
Don, when these roster spots sort out, who makes the roster, who doesn't, how does this team, in your mind, play better than last year? Be it smarter, faster, harder, more physical? What do you want to see from what you're good at?
I believe that we can forecheck a little bit better. We're a strong defensive team. We have systematically, I think we're pretty tight. But the more that we can forecheck up the ice and certainly check further away from our net, whether that's the neutral zone as well, and not, when you defend all the time, which we didn't, but Florida does a good job. The team that won, they do good. Teams that are good and elite, they have a way of countering some of the things that you do, and you have to be able to play a different game at times. Edmonton changed their game, in order to be successful in the playoffs. So you have to be adaptable as a hockey club. You got to be able to skate. Monty's going to preach the pace aspect of it. The players that I referenced we brought in here can all skate, and we need to do that. Now, you also have to have production. So our power play, the second part of the year was a bit of an Achilles for us. We need to get back online. We believe that Elias coming in and playing the bumper will help in that regard. Now, that being said, Charlie and Morgan, some of those guys did a really good job, but we need to have our power play has to be counted upon. The league, it's not changing, the number of penalties each night, and we're not going backwards, so we're going to have to continue to rely on it. Now, the playoffs, as the playoffs go along, if you're fortunate enough to continue to advance, penalty killing becomes paramount, and the power play becomes a little less, of a factor on most nights. We've had good penalty killing. Joe does a great job there. We're going to integrate some other players in that regard. So especially teams are a big factor. We've been typically a very good team. As I said, power play dropped off a little bit in the second half. We have to get back online with that. But I would hope that our team would check up ice a little bit better and create a little more anxiety in that way, and allow our D to be involved offensively, and because production is going to be, one of the things that we're going to have to preach, and scoring goals, and as Monty would say, possessing the puck and playing a team game.
And does that desire or complexion change at all based on who's in net?
No. I think we played pretty consistently with either goaltender. Now, they were both good, and the team in front of them was good and defensively responsible, and now our D is even bigger. hopefully it continues to make it easier on goaltending, but no, we should not be adjusting our style of play as to what goaltender's going to play for us.
How do you hope Jonas and Brandon maximize this opportunity in terms of, for Jonas acclimating, Brandon getting reps? Like, they're going to get more attention here, but more attention from Bob. What should they be focused on?
Well, that's certainly between Bob. Bob has areas that he's already broken down on. He's got a great book on Brandon. Brandon's been here, hasn't been in games, so that's the next level. If you're going to want to prove it, then you're going to have to go out and prove it on that stage. And he's going to get a good opportunity, given our circumstances. And Jonas is going to be able to build a rapport with Bob every day now and moving forward and tweak the parts of his game that he would like to see continue to improve, not unlike what he did with Linus when he was brought in, not unlike what he was doing with Sway or Tuukka or Timmy might have been a little different because he was on his own page, but he stopped a hell of a lot of pucks. So, it was probably hard for Bob, but it's hard to argue with the results.
And Don, Jonas had a tough season last season in Ottawa. What makes you think that he's going to play better here?
Again, the body of work, talking to even Rob Blake in LA and when he was there, obviously Bob and Mike Dunham did a good job of breaking down when Jonas was playing well as opposed to when he wasn't. And hopefully the structure that we're going to provide in front of him will help him in some of those areas. A few years ago we did a study with Yarrow Lack when he was coming in here and some of the areas that we felt would improve when he got here and Yarrow did a good job. So we're confident that Jonas will get back to being the goaltender. I think that when he went to LA and certainly in stints in Columbus.
When did you start realizing that Essenza is one of the really elite goalie whisperers in the league? I mean, it seems like there's always been whether it's Allaire or some of the other goaltending gurus that have come along, and goalie Bob has been just so consistent in bringing and tweaking out the best out of these guys, really helping them find their best version of themselves.
Bob would probably say 20 years ago that, the goalie, he now relabels it the goalie excellence department. I've won. But, we brought in Mike. Bob's just has a unique style. I think he connects really well personality-wise, and he's had a lot of them, to connect with. He's got an unbelievable demeanor about him, that there's a calmness I think that goalies, appreciate. He's played the position, had a lot of success. He's won. He's worked with Vezina goalies, and 3 of them now. So I think there's that. I can back this up, with what my goalies have done at the highest level. And I think that resonates with our goalies.
Do you feel any increased pressure to put a guy like, someone like George Markula, who was an all-star last season in the AHL, now has 2 seasons there under his belt? Do you feel any additional pressure to get a guy like him into the lineup just to kind of show, we're seeing the progress you're making, we're rewarding you for it?
I don't feel any pressure in that regard. Like, at the end of the day, the player is going to dictate whether or not he takes that role, and he can help us. Ultimately, I've said this time and time again. I really find it hard to keep yourself out of the NHL if you're a good player, because when things start to progress and waivers and teams call, they'll force their way in when they're ready to play. And I hope Merck is right there knocking on the door and adds another center to our mix.
Anyone other than Brad either out or limited going?
Alex Regula, who had off-season knee surgery, will be delayed for camp. And Jackson Edward just had an upper body injury that will take him probably maybe a week to 10 days. No definitive timeline there, but that's just the general indication as to what he may miss.
Thomas, who's Jay Leach bringing to staff?
Familiarity from a standpoint of the organization. He's very comfortable coming back in the organization and knowing how we're trying to do things, and he's been an advocate of that. I think the everyday touches that he'll have with every one of our D will be beneficial. John did a good job last year. We've had Doug Huda and Kevin Dean. We've had guys that have stepped into that role and done a good job. I see Jay in a very similar light. Obviously, he went to another organization, the NHL bench. I think he brings a new perspective to that as well. You're never going to outwork Jay in terms of how he approaches his daily life. And I think our guys will appreciate his ability to connect with them while trying to make them better, pushing them in every area of their game. And I think he'll complement our staff. We're excited to have him back.
Don, if my math is right, this is your 10th season going into this job. So, what do you think are the 2 or 3 most important things you do? And if we've gone back to the spring of 15 and asked you that, I think it varies, difference.
Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about that one. Every day's a new challenge in terms of the team you're trying to put together and the people you get to, you're fortunate enough to work with. In a terrific hockey market, like you're fortunate. So I treat it that way. The challenges, that's what keeps you in, the juice that you got a chance to put a team together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, but the pieces are like live and they're moving around the table while you're trying to put them together. And that's the challenge. As a player, you get to go out and sort of to work on that and fix it right away. And sometimes the wheel turns slower and you have to communicate and you have to step back and evaluate and listen to everybody, bark at you for doing things right or wrong. You have to put the earmuffs on at times. I laugh because my son loves the spit up on yourself podcast. And I did that on purpose, Joe, you're right. Because I'll go back to the inaccuracies of what everybody's reporting. And, it's great entertainment. It's great entertainment. But at the end of the day, it's not a lot of fact checking going on there. So that part of the business, you got to recognize. This city is awesome for that because they want their teams to win. You guys are covering it because you want them to win, not hoping we lose. Albeit it writes a story that way too. But at the end of the day, you're in it for the juice. To put the team together and try and win. And if it doesn't work, they're going to kick you out at some point in time. So I've said that before. The shelf life is there. Don't know when it is. Just going to work my ass off to put the best team we possibly can. That's why I sit here disappointed, in some regards, but excited in most of the others.
Every time a guy in your position is asked the pressure question, it always comes back to, I feel the pressure every day, and it's coming from within, and it's in the organization. We all feel this pressure. So whenever you're asking us about circumstantial, like, okay, now you get Lindholm, now you get Zadorov, you're going to finally win. You're going to finally go deep in the playoffs. And if not, then what? So that's all that's in my head. But at the same time, I realized that it's no different for you, pressure-wise, because it was always pressure. And can you say that even in light of the fact that this team's coming to fruition?
100%. I think you're spot on. And you should feel that. It's professional sports. That's what your job is. You're not going to win every year, but you're striving to be competitive. Some teams are in a different cycle and they're building, for what they hope to have a period of time. We've been trying to extend it in different ways. That's a great challenge. It's a great challenge as general manager. When you lose iconic players that we've lost in the last little bit, who replaces that? And those are great challenges. Pressure, look, I wake up every day, it's just how I'm wired. Okay, I now have to wear glasses, I got gray hair. Of course, it happens to all of us. But at the end of the day, I wake up every day motivated to try and put the best team on the ice. We're still falling short. Only one team wins, but we've been damn competitive, and I expect this group, as I told them today, I said, this group should be motivated. They should be excited. There's a lot of good pieces in there and a core group of guys that would like to continue to win, and that's what's exciting.
Time for one more.
Con, you've said it a few times.
I like that, huh?
What, I hate to go back to this, but what inaccuracies are bothering you? You've mentioned them a couple of times now. What specifically inaccuracies are
Go ahead and ask me a specific one. If you got knowledge of it, like that we haven't offered an 8-year deal, or we haven't, we're not willing to compromise, or we haven't moved on things. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not talking about specifics. You're just not gonna get it. But the fact I did reference one, as a matter of fact. I think it's bullshit that somebody says I wouldn't return a call for 3 weeks. That's inaccurate. Was it written? Was it said? Was it written?
that one? I'm not sure.
Well, I will tell you, I don't listen to podcasts. I said my son loves biz, thinks he's fabulous. I think he's a great entertainer, okay? But at the end of the day, they're inaccurate. And that's okay, because that's all part of the business nowadays. It's okay if you turn around and say it's your opinion or your belief and such, but don't report it as fact. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
Don, it seems pretty obvious now, but just to clear it up too, there was a report out there this morning that it was a done deal with Sweeney. That's obviously not true, not correct.
It's 100% inaccurate. Does that make it any more pointed than that? Very, I appreciate it. All right, looking forward to the season, seeing everybody. Thank you very much.